Hey friends, what's up? It is Mina and welcome to another YouTube video on this channel. If you're new here, I talk about a myriad of subjects, typically ranging from magical, practitioner, witchy, woo-woo side of things to also very practical conversations about communication and success and empowerment and community and some of those things. So if those are conversations that you resonate with, then I invite you to subscribe and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date with videos as they come out. So today, on the day that I'm recording this video, it is the new moon in the sign of Pisces. I actually have a little moon app right here on my phone. Oh, you can see it right here. Oh, can you? See how it says 0%? So I keep a moon app on my phone that will just show me when the moon is full, first quarter, last quarter, new moon, all that good stuff. I do have a few other planners that I use to, keep track of what's going on in the stars, what's going on in the skies. But I'm somebody who is very much, I move within the same rhythms of the stars and the skies and the planets and the earth. And so it's really helpful for me, even outside of my magical workings, to know what's going on within certain energies. So that way I know maybe how it's going to show up in my life. I know how to work certain rituals or intentions or spells or any of those things around what's going on in the stars. So just random thought with that. So yeah, we are at the new moon today, and the new moon wraps up this first eclipse season of 2026. We'll have our second eclipse season starting August, but this one has been wrapped up nice and tight as of today. And there are a lot of amazing astrologers and channelers and different people that have spoken throughout these past 6 weeks about the different eclipse energies, how they are interacting with different planets, different goddesses, different ways that they might show up in our lives. But for today's video, I really wanted to just share with you some of the themes that actually did anchor into my physical reality and show up in my life. This is just so you can see a practical, tangible ways that from the energy, from the ethers into physicality, how these two things dance and interact and respond with each other. One of the themes that I noticed in this eclipse season, really anchoring into our physical reality, is the ability for things to manifest a lot faster, for your wishes to manifest a lot faster. And a very practical example of this is in my previous video, I had spoken about this particular person. It was towards the end of the video. I spoke about this particular person in my life, within one aspect of the different communities in my life. That was very hard for me to deal with. Just very entitled, very demanding, really looking for ways that they can use for their gain, but not do any of their own work. And just the way that they approach me in this way all the time, I could have had more serious conversations with them about this, but it would have been a weird situation. And so I didn't too often, but I started to set boundaries and I started to distance myself from this person. Now, in this last video, I had spoken about how this one day they were being really demanding with me again and just like, blah, 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 I want this done now, just the way that they approached me. And in my mind, I was thinking, oh, I hope this doesn't go the way you planned. I hope that it doesn't work out as you want, and I had certain responsibilities within this interaction with this person. So I still did the same responsibilities that I have. But it actually didn't go the way that they had planned. Nothing had changed in the external environment outside of my wish that it wouldn't go as planned. Now, in my last video, I spoke about how after this happened, and I was like, oh, damn, look at that manifestation in the works. I happened to be watching one of the YouTubers that I like to watch in a channeled space. When I work out, I like to throw on YouTube and watch different creators that I follow. And so in this video, this particular creator, this group of women, they were saying something about, it was a reminder, be careful what you wish for, because it'll come back to you. And that is something that we talk about in the magical space, especially within like the Wiccan tradition. The threefold law is a conversation that shows up there a lot in those spaces, but it does in general witchcraft as well. And so we know this. And so it was a reminder for me. I'm like, oh, you're right. You're right. I shouldn't be wishing anyone. I really strive not to wish anyone harm. Even people that have hurt me or wronged me or hurt my family, I really strive not to put any more pain and suffering on the planet. We already have so much, And so the very next day I was like, okay, let me reset. And I didn't post this in this last video. This is since then. The very next day I was like, okay, as a practitioner, if somebody is annoying me and I don't want to have to explain myself or train them how to be kind human beings or any of these things, and I don't want to send any bad energy their way, I would bless them away. And so the following day, what I did was I sat down in meditative space and I was just like, I'm sending blessings, I'm sending love, I'm sending peace. I'm hoping that this person will align with what's best for them, but also outside of my orbit, outside of my space. And that same day, within this community, this separate administrative individual came to me and said, hey, we're hoping that this person can help in this separate area. We're hoping that this person can move to work in this separate group. It's something that would be best aligned with them. We see it with their strengths. Perfect. And I'm like, what? This is so cool. This is so cool. The fact that, and is it egoic of me to think that my wishes had any sort of effect on this outcome? Maybe, but the timing of everything was very coincidental. And so, in the land of energy and magic and all of these things, part of the way that we dance with the universe and our guides and gods and guardians is by being aware of the subtle shifts when they show up. The difference between that situation and some other situations that haven't manifested is clarity, decision, hope. I was clear on I wish that this didn't happen, or I wish that you would find something more aligned outside of this space. But so often what I find in my own life, and I think it's because I'm kind of in between, not quite struggling, but not quite thriving. So when I do my own magical workings, it's like, I don't really know what to focus on, because I've spent so much time being in the state of gratitude that it's hard for me to be in the space of want. So getting that crystal clear clarification when it comes to my own life has been a struggle with manifestation. But some of these examples, and this is just one that showed up repeatedly within this eclipse phase, was very interesting how things are just manifesting a lot faster when we have a clear idea of what we want and we have the emotional desires driving it and behind it and magnetizing back towards us. I spoke about this in my last video too. Maybe there's two separate videos that I'm referring to here. But in my last video, I spoke about how I've been referring, or my current read is a quantum physics book. And in the world of manifestation, they really talk about that, how you have to have brain and heart coherence. You have the intention that you want to create and you need to have the emotions behind it. Signal out, magnetize back. And that could have also been the difference between this situation and some other situations. But there's a lot of practitioners, there's a lot of channelers, there's a lot of diviners and astrologers that have been talking about this current time that we are in and how we are able to manifest things faster. 11:11. There is a balance between the beautiful works and words of our forefathers and ancestors, the history, the evolution of energy and magic and manifestation, and how we weave and work within the different elements and energies and spirits and universe and deities and all of these things. But trust that in 2026, that evolution has not just stopped. So it's so important. We talk about this in Reiki. I remember this being part of the manuals in class that I taught and learned. This is an evolving practice. So sit down in meditative space often to meditate on the consciousness of Reiki and how it can develop and evolve. It is meant to evolve, 12:12. And that is absolutely the same within any aspect of our lives. We're meant to continue to seek, to grow, to expand, to evolve, and to allow things to show up differently. So just because the timeline between thought and manifestation had greater distance in the past doesn't mean that those things can't shift. We have to be open to the possibilities and wonders within liminal space, within magical space, within energy space. Another thing that I experience in eclipse season is a lot of shifts in mindsets, also shifts in priorities. This has helped me to be better aligned with what my North Star is and the trajectory for the peace, bliss, love, and joy within my life. And let me tell you how some of these things have shown up. I started a separate YouTube channel and I'm starting to make posts there called Romancing the Dragon. And this is something that I have debated about starting off and on for a while because it's outside of the magic and energy based scope and more in the realms of dating and relationships and being single. One of the big shifts that happened during this eclipse season is really anchoring into the reality. This disempowered habit that I have previously had the majority of my entire life, which has been, if I don't have somebody to do it with, I won't do it. And I spoke about this in the video on that channel. But what I had said was, previously, if I want to go to an event or I want to get out into nature or, I want to check out this new movie or, I feel like going bowling, certain things that typically have a more enjoyable experience when done with someone else. If I don't have that someone else to go do those things with, typically in the past, I just don't do them. I don't go out on solo dates. I don't go out on solo walks or hikes. I don't go out on solo, movie screenings. I just don't go. And this is super disempowering to myself. This says that I am not enough by myself and that I am missing a piece in order to have a fulfilling life. And though this may have bounced around in my brain in different centers in my past, it had never really settled in to the truth of my heart and realization in my conscious mind until this eclipse season. And so since this eclipse season began and finished, I have had this realization and I have made certain tangible steps in order to shift that. So now my mentality is that I am going to start planning solo adventures for myself. I've already done one, and I have to, plan certain things because my kiddo is going to graduate this year and turn 18. So there's a lot of financial obligation and adventures and all the things that go into preparing them for adulthood. So, of course, there's nuances, there's planning, there's fine tuning, there's looking at the finances, all these things. But I'm not looking for excuses. I'm looking for regular practice of going and doing fun things by myself. Before, this wasn't even a thought. It was a reaction. No one's available, cancel. Just an automatic reaction, no thought behind it. And so I'm really excited about this new phase of this journey, because how cool is it to live in more courage and bravery to enjoy amazing things, even if it's by myself? So now my mind is excited with the possibilities of okay, when I go to a restaurant by myself, normally I'd be talking and engaging with someone. I want to still remain present. I don't want to just be hiding in my phone, scrolling or something like that. But what could that look like? So now my mind's opening with possibilities. If I go to the club and, decide to go out dancing by myself, I want to have certain things ready, what would be good conversation starters in case I walk up a certain place and make eye contact with someone and I want to engage in conversation. So I'm challenging myself to grow is part of what this is really, what the root of this is really, I'm ready to grow. I'm challenging myself to grow. I want to find happiness and bliss within my own self without feeling or thinking that I require other in order to be fulfilled. Another thing that's been showing up this eclipse season is going back, reverting back and redefining what creative space looks like. I have been feeling called to be more creative a lot within this past quarter, to 6 months, but it hasn't really been fully manifested into the tangible. And it is something that I have to be intentional to choose. I'll feel a whisper, I'll feel a tug of creative space, but I have to grab a hold of that and say, yes, please, I subscribe, and go on that dance. But that tug has been feeling stronger, and I have started to sink into it in some capacities. Even last night, I was journaling about YouTube, actually. I'm not somebody that often feels like I need to post on social media in order to be relevant or part of the conversation or any of those things, but I often gravitate towards YouTube. My mind often is like, oh, you haven't posted a video in a while. And so it seems, and I've had resistance to it in the past, like, I don't know why, So it seems like that is an important anchor in how I share with others. But I have had this mentality that if I'm going to do something, it's got to be like the best level. It's got to be like really successful. It has to be impactful. And I think that I put so much pressure on myself for it to be perfect that I'm not just doing it for fun. And I want it to be something that's just for fun. It's got to be just for fun. That's how I'm shifting my mindset within my own life. I'm shifting my mindset where it's more along the lines of, I want to be the participant, not the leader. As a Leo girly, I'm naturally inclined to have leadership skills. In my day job, I am a leader, and so it's something that I naturally fall into. But sometimes there's a lot of obligation, there's a lot of pressure, and needing everything to be set up perfectly so that way other people can have a great experience. And I really want to be more, at least for a while, at least for sure this year, I want to be more of the student, the participant, and the supportive role to other leaders at this time. I don't want to feel like I have to lead everything. I just want to be in community space, share in magical and healing and fluid, amazing space with others while supporting others' mission towards leading something amazing. And I think that that is something that is beautiful for my own development and growth. And so stepping outside of the beacon of the leader, the facilitator, and into more of like the support, the cushion, the nurturer, it actually expands or releases, I should say, some pressure and stress to open me up more for creative space. So my guides and this shift has happened that is more in the area of creativity first, development of self first, enjoying a lot of that energy to nurture and heal and align and love and be playful within this energy, sharing it as a peer and supporting others in their ambitions and goals for facilitation. And I love that. I love that. All my bills are paid. My kiddo's about to be 18. Life is good. I don't need to be, the president. I don't need to be number 1, number 2, even number 10. I just want to have peace. I want bliss. I want joy. I want fun. I want creativity. I want community. I don't have to be in charge for that to manifest. And so recalibrating and realigning with what makes the most sense for my highest and best during this time has really shed some amazing light on my own life, practices, habits, and goals within this time. Okay, so the last point that I wanted to make, the last theme that really showed up during this eclipse season is having a better presence, better state of presence within myself. I had a couple situations where I could feel myself getting emotionally hijacked, getting triggered by situations that were showing up that reminded me of trauma from the past. And so because the situation was familiar and similar as past experiences that led to painful outcomes, it's very natural and human of us when those situations happen to get immediately pulled back into the emotions of that thing. I've had this realization during this eclipse season that I often spend a lot of my time replaying things, which is horrible for my nervous system, horrible for my anxiety, and keeps me disempowered and asleep. So in a couple situations during eclipse season, I got triggered that pulled me back into old memory loops, brought those emotions back into my present reality. I had an emotional reaction. And then when I removed myself from it, I was able to realize that was all me. That was all me, 100% me. Yes, there were maybe little nuanced things of, oh, if this person communicated better, or if they had set their expectations, blah, blah, blah. Sure. But there was no expectation set for them, leading to them knowing that I would have this reaction. And so I need to prepare perfectly for me to not have this reaction. So processing through some of these things, I realized, shit, that was all me. Through doing some journaling I've talked about on this channel, and I actually just bought my next journal. It's down there. Ooh. But like, I love to journal. I journal all the time. This one's almost done. Almost done. But I really like it. It helps me process through a lot of things. As a single girly, I don't think that it's our partner or our best friend's responsibility to hold space for all of our thoughts and things that we need to work through. It's great when we have some people that can supplement some of those things, but I personally find journaling a great practice for me to really just hold space with what I'm struggling with and what I need to process through, churn through in order to realize. And yeah, these situations really made me realize how often I am replaying things in my head of conversations that maybe didn't go well, or, I'm hoping that I express myself in the best possible way, or I'm trying to process and understand why this particular person communicated or reacted in a certain way, but I'll regurgitate it over and over and over. Alternatively, if there's something coming up that I know that I am not looking forward to, same thing. I'll replay potential outcomes in my head over and over and over of what I might say, what they might say, what could happen, and all of these things. And coupled with the quantum physics book that I've been reading and some of these experiences that have really just held a mirror to myself in how this is incredibly disempowering for myself and results in emotional hijacking and really is harmful to my nervous system and my anxiety. This has been anchored into the physical to really help me realize this, which is a huge win because a lot of times these things are reactions. I've had these practices for decades of just regurgitating these past or future memories or scenarios. The body doesn't know the difference of those things. Studies have been done that the body doesn't know the difference. It will still affect me, whether it's happening in real time or it's a memory replay or a potential situation. So, understanding this has been huge. I do need to still, I feel like I will still have situations where I have to remind myself like, oh, you're doing it again, because when you've had bad habits like this, disempowering things for decades or years, it can take a little bit of time to reprogram that enough for new habits to occur. But it's really helped me to hold space with being more present, allowing more boredom to be in play within my life. Some of these things aren't because I'm anxious of past or future conversations, but because my mind is so used to the dopamine of scrolling or what have you that it's an addiction. Some of these things are addictions to constantly be signaling and triggering the mind and giving it constant feeds of dopamine. Not good. So I do recognize that this will require more ongoing patterns of recognition and pivoting, but having such huge realization moments during this eclipse season really helped me to separate from just having a reaction. Once again, a lot of these things are finding myself grounded and anchored back into the holistic energy of who I am as a energetic being, a human body with a goal of living my highest and best life. Being in these disempowered loops of reaction and unworthiness, or feeling like I need somebody to come in and save me or change me or stimulate me or cater to me, all of those things are disempowering. So this has really been anchoring back into the center space and getting my power back. And a lot of that is personal accountability and control. What do I have control of? What do I not have control of? And the things that I do have control of, how can I make slight shifts in order for them to be more fulfilling, more aligned, more peaceful, more fitting? So when I think about these situations that will surely occur, because we all have jobs and we have to deal with other people, and sometimes conversations that occur can be tough. I think what comes to mind is, and this is still pretty fresh, so having the 100% solid game plan TBD. But what comes to mind is sitting in meditative space if I know that something is showing up. And maybe doing it morning before, like if I have a conversation that I know is happening Friday evening, that morning, or something like that. Sitting in meditative space, counting myself down into alpha, so that way I am just fully present and accessing all of my energy and magical capabilities. Picturing what is going to occur and just sending intentions with emotions to it. I really want this person to feel comfortable to express themselves to me in an open and clear fashion. My intention is to be grounded and present, to be able to clearly express myself, but to mostly be open and receptive to hear and perceive what they are saying. My emotions will be calm, secure, and stable, and this interaction will go better than expected. I'm sending blessings, good vibes, love, healing to both parties, so that way it can have the best outcome that it is intended to have. I trust, I align, I am open to receive the guidance of my higher self and spirit team, spirit guides. And so it is. And then just sinking in with a very grounded energy within this space. This could be something that could be super beneficial if you've just started a new job and there is a lot of unsurety and anxiety, and the tumultuous energy of having certain expectations for yourself and your performance and being able to integrate within a new system and practices and requirements, all of those things. That's a big shift. Anchoring and grounding in yourself and your abilities helps you to move through time and space without being so pulled and affected by others, where you can be in the space but not of the space. And we talk about that a lot as empaths. I don't know if empaths is like not as popular anymore, so people don't talk about it as often, as at least in the algorithms that I'm a part of. But this is something that I've spoken about a lot throughout the years in the space of being empathic. Really having a practice to ground ourselves in trust and confidence and open intuitive alignment within our spirit team helps us to move through life in a much better space. So that's what I've shifted into in order to counter some of these things. Now, what effect do you think that's going to have on my life? Some of these things. I'm not going to feel like I have to conquer everything or convince anyone. I'm not going to be so impacted and hijacked by things that other people do that I don't have control of. I'm going to be more in space of spirit, more in space of alignment, creativity, bliss, joy, community, compassion, love. That's what all of these themes are helping me to unwind and release and re-anchor into my life. And honestly, they're all in alignment with things that I have said that I want. So those were the themes that showed up for me this eclipse season. I would love to know what themes showed up for you. If you had similar themes, I would love to hear about that as well. So whatever you want to share, please feel free. Open invitation in that comment section down below. If you enjoyed this conversation today, especially since this channel is very new, I would invite you to subscribe and like this video so that way you can stay up to date with videos as they come out in the future. This is Mina. Thank you so much for being present in this conversation today. And I look forward to continuing this conversation either in future videos or down in that comment section below. All right. Until next time, stay wild and spooky, but most of all, stay magical. I will talk to you then. All right.